Turning now to the tropics, where we are monitoring Tropical Depression 10 in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees standing by. And Brittany, how could the Carolinas be impacted?
Well, the big thing, Caitlin, is going to be a flood risk, and that's partially because we have flooding potential really today, tomorrow, and Tuesday that aren't even associated with TD10. Then you add on the additional moisture, that's going to be likely our biggest risk here. So let's get the latest on TD10. And this is not to scare you, no hype, just the facts. We are tracking this tropical depression right now near the Yucatan Peninsula. It is expected to emerge into the southern Gulf of Mexico later on this afternoon and eventually become likely a Category 1, if not a Category 2 hurricane before making landfall somewhere along the U.S. Gulf Coast. Now, I'll tell you that right now models have still been honed in mostly on the Big Bend region of Florida, but I have seen this with systems before where there's a small track shift to the west, and of course it could impact maybe closer to the northwestern panhandle or coastal Mississippi or Alabama. Something I do think is interesting this morning is we're in slightly better model agreement with the European and the American model. These are our most reliable forecast models that go out long term, and you can see the really good agreement through Wednesday morning, still on the Big Bend region of Florida, before eventually kind of skirting the eastern half of the Carolinas and then heading out to sea. Now, TD10 is going to have some issues in its path. Right now, there is really high wind shear, especially in the northern half of the Gulf. So if there is any kind of track shift to the west, that could help rip the storm apart. However, you can see that that's not going to last forever. In fact, really, wind shear doesn't look to be a major impact until late this upcoming week when it moves into the Atlantic Ocean. So moderate wind shear, yes, can rip storms apart, but it's not as good for that lowering of strength as that high wind shear in the bright red. Now, something that will help that storm strengthen is look at these temperatures. We just haven't had any tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico that oftentimes can cool down systems. So right now you need an 80-degree temperature Fahrenheit to have a tropical system form. Temperatures up to 90 degrees. And so why that's a risk here is rapid intensification. This happens when storms move over areas of moderate wind shear and really warm ocean waters. Their sustained winds can increase at least 35 miles per hour within 24 hours. And I'll give you a good example of a storm that went through rapid intensification, Hurricane Michael, that struck the Florida Panhandle back in 2018. It essentially went from a tropical depression to a major hurricane in less than 48 hours. Now, the next storm name on the list is Idalia here. You can see this is the I-named storm. This is what we would be calling this storm when it likely does officially get a name later on today, if not tomorrow. And of course, we will have more impacts, potentially on the Carolinas coming up throughout the week. But again, for us right now, it looks like the main threat is going to be localized flooding due to a lot of heavy rain over the next few days, and then even a low-end surge risk for our coastline.
Thank you for